You're with Elsie Adamo on ABC Southeast SA.
Now, coming up next, our beautiful caves and water bodies attract people from all over the world, including Dr. Richard Harry Harris, OAM, who dives regularly in the region and has played a significant role in advocating for water preservation in our region. Next Friday, he'll be in Coonawarra to launch a new Limestone Coast Environmental Resilience Sub-Fund under the Limestone Foundation's new community charity trust. So we'll be hearing from him very soon. Elsie Adamo with you this morning. It is 12 minutes past 7. Now, Stand Like Stone helps so many humanities and social projects locally through funding, grant programs and advocacy. And now the foundation is expanding into environmental conservation through a new environmental resilience sub-fund. Stand Like Stone CEO Jason Wallace explains that decision behind starting the fund.
Yeah, so we're setting up the Limestone Coast Environmental Resilience Sub-Fund as a new fund within our structure. We've long been seen as being here for people and communities of the Limestone Coast, and really having projects that address environmental enhancement and protection in our region is just one piece of that puzzle, and so important. If we want resilient communities, we really need to be taking care of the environment that supports those communities. So this will provide funds for grassroots projects across the Limestone Coast.
Yeah, it was, I think a lot of people think of Stand Like Stone, I guess, typically donating to charities that are a bit more, I guess, like social focused or, food and welfare focused. So why the switch to also looking at environmental, charity as well? We
see that a small expansion in the areas that we cover. We see there's some really great environmental organisations in the Limestone Coast, such as Nature Glenelg Trust and the Landscape Board and others. We see this as a way to support that work and really have a structure available to be able to raise funds locally that we can give to projects that might be led by smaller community grassroots organisations or some of those other environmental organisations that are already established. We also see it as a vehicle to bring funds from outside the region, because community foundations are increasingly seen as a structure that can provide place-based delivery of state and national projects. So it might, while this is initially being set up to be built by our community and for our community, it also provides an opportunity to bring funds in from elsewhere, from major philanthropic sources for local projects that could be delivered by a whole range of organisations in the region.
Stand Like Stone CEO Jason Wallace speaking there to Sam Bradbrook. Now, the fund is being launched next Friday by none other than the internationally renowned Dr. Richard Harris, OAM SC. He joins us this morning. Dr. Harris, good morning. Thank you for your time today.
Good morning. You're welcome.
So why are you backing this new sub-fund for environmental resilience?
Well, I know Jason through mutual interest in cave diving, and of course that means, like most cave divers, we're very connected to the environment in the southeast. And when he asked me to do something to support the community down there and the landscape, of course I was very happy. I've been spending so much of my life in the southeast and very much appreciate the natural resources down there, and I'm very happy to lend a hand to get this started.
Are there any particular projects or parts of the southeast you're hoping will be prioritised for this environmental fund?
Well, my long-standing interest has been in the water down there, and I think most people in the southeast would recognise that the water table is, I won't say it's in crisis, but there's certainly some alarm bells going off with the lowering water levels and the impact of maybe the climate change, the changing climate, and the increased utilisation of water in the area. And we're certainly seeing the impact of that now down in the coastal springs like Piccaninny Ponds and Ewan Ponds and other similar coastal ponds on private properties. So, as cave divers, we have this unique opportunity to look into these windows into the groundwater and swim through them, and we can visibly see changes in the groundwater. We see the water level dropping at a very precipitous rate in some of the caves at the moment. and certainly down in those coastal springs with all the algal overgrowth and the aquatic plants dying back, I think this has come at a good time.
Yeah, well, while you're down, will you be having a bit of a dive and checking in on any of those water systems while you're here?
I will be, actually. I never miss the opportunity to go for a dive, so I'm coming down a couple of days earlier and actually going to visit a couple of my favourite spots. So, yeah, why not?
So why do you think Stand Lake Stone are the right body to enact this type of protection and conservation?
Well, they seem to be. I don't have anything formally to do with the organisation, but I trust Jason. I think he's an excellent leader, and he's very committed to the southeast. He's got a long connection in a variety of roles down there. So I think community-based organisations like this can play a very important role in doing this kind of fundraising and grassroots activism in a way. So, I think it's a great way to approach these sort of problems.
And yes, I guess on that, generally Stand Lake Stone is seen as a social charity helping in different ways. What would you say to people that might not understand why environment should be rolled in to something like this?
Well, everyone who lives in the southeast relies on the water. If I can keep focusing on that as the bit that I'm interested in, whether you're drinking it, everyone down there is drinking the groundwater in one way or another. Obviously, Mount Gambier, it's all coming from the Blue Lake, but a lot of other towns rely on groundwater that's drilled and removed from the groundwater. So, everyone is connected to it. Tourism obviously relies very heavily on the water, whether you're visiting the Blue Lake itself or people visiting places like Kilsby's Sinkhole or these beautiful coastal springs and parks. And the agriculture and industry like forestry all dependent on it. So everyone's connected to the water in the region.
And on the water, Dr. Harris, you might be aware that the Labor government has announced that they will be trying to lift the fracking moratorium bill earlier, that they can start investigating some of those things now in the southeast. When the news actually broke, we even had people text in mentioning you, Dr. Harris, so that they would hope the government would speak with people like you about the risks to the water system. Is it something you're concerned about?
Look, I am. Look, I'm not naive to the need that we need fossil fuels, at least for the foreseeable future until we can make the transition fully to other forms of energy. But funnily enough, I've just come back from 2 weeks cave diving and exploring in Florida, which is a very similar landscape to what we find in the southeast.
Oh, Dr. Harris, are you still with us?
Sorry.
Nope. Sorry, you just cut out there, Dr. Harris. I think we were just hearing that you were just in Florida.
Yeah, very similar landscape and very similar issues with the water. And they put a ban on fracking in about 2012 because of concerns about the water usage and the potential for contamination. I think the big concern for the southeast is whether we have enough water available for that kind of usage at the moment. So that's the main thing I'd like to see, looked at very closely before this proceeds.
But you wouldn't, say there might be a place for fracking in the southeast? You're not ruling it out?
Well, I use gas. I use fuel in my car. I know it's an essential part of our lifestyle, but that the landscape down there is facing a major problem with the amount of water that's becoming available. And if fracking requires vast amounts of water to use, as I understand that it does, then the big question is, can we afford the water to even consider it at the moment?
Mm-hmm. And as we've mentioned, you'll be here next week for this event. For those going along, what will they be hearing about at the actual on the evening?
Well, I'll probably be telling my story about the Thai Cave rescue, of course. It's very hard for me to give any kind of talk without involving that story in some way. But obviously also talking about my interest in mental health and resilience, particularly for young people. And I think in rural communities, that's always a topic that's important. The rural communities face a lot of challenges, particularly with mental health and staying on top of things. Life is never easy in the regions at times. So, of topics will be covered.
Thank you for joining us this morning on Southeast Breakfast. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome. We'll see you all next week.
That was Dr. Richard Harris, who, as he said, will be in the region next Friday, the 29th of May, for Our Resilient Future, an evening with Dr. Richard Harris. So that will kick off at 6 p.m, and you can find out more information on the Stand Like Stone website, both about the event and about the fund and the project in general. It is coming up to 22 minutes past 7. Let's get a bit of music going for your Friday morning.